Top 5 college basketball teams who need a good week. These are teams that are riding the bubble right now. One of them is kind of surprising, but they're in a one-bid league, so we'll get to these post-haste. Number 5, BYU had some good wins earlier in the year, but they cannot get in now based on their record. They're going to have to go and win the conference tournament, and the problem with that is that conference tournament is not set up for them to win. They're in the league with St. Mary's and Gonzaga.
Yeah.
And so that tournament is set up for St. Mary's and Gonzaga to play each other again. So BYU is going to have to go through and win their conference tournament to get in. So that means going in right now, you don't have enough quality wins to get in on an at-large bid. That's over for BYU. You have to now win the conference tournament that is set up for pretty much Gonzaga to win it.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough. I didn't even realize they'd fallen that point.
Yeah, I mean, that's the tournament where Gonzaga basically doesn't play until the championship game, practically. Yeah. That'll be tough and probably not likely to do. I know I've seen a lot of, see a lot more BYU on my timeline now, having followed a couple people that cover them because of all the expansion and everything. So I saw it. Yeah, they had a good start, and those posts have faded a little bit, certainly. So, yeah, that's going to be a tough task, especially with the tournament set up the way that it is.
Yeah. Number 4, North Texas. And our friend Grant McCaslin, even though they won the conference regular season title, they've got a tough conference tournament to go through. And if things start to get clipped for them, for that league, UNT may see their way out of it if they don't win the league, which I think is silly. They should be in no matter what. But
what did Grant McCaslin tell us? No matter what they've done, they're probably a one-bid league.
Yeah.
And you would think that conference maybe wouldn't be in that position.
Well, as champions in a one-bid league, wouldn't they be choice?
But they're the regular season, not the tournament champions. So they don't win the tournament, then they're the automatic.
It's like the Southland. It's like the Southland, even though SFA a couple of times under Underwood and then Kyle Keller, remember, and by the way, they did get a share. I mean, it could be 27-3, beat Baylor on the road, or what did they do last year? SFA won somewhere. I mean, it doesn't matter. You have to win the conference tournament, or otherwise you're pretty much done.
Yeah. Number 3, Rutgers. This is a team that probably fading out of at-large status. If they don't do well, at least in the early part of the Big Ten tournament, they probably don't have to win it, but they need to get a couple of wins in it because some of their early season wins that look good now, like, say, Michigan, don't look as good as they did when it happened, so those have fallen off for Rutgers. Rutgers needs a good week in the Big Ten tournament.
They're 18-12. You know what's a nightmare for the Big Ten? This little team out of Lincoln, they'll get blown out by somebody. They just beat Wisconsin. They've won 3 in a row. That's the kind of crazy of what happens with them. They're not going to. I'm not joking there. But, yeah, someone in the Big 12, the Big 10 that's not supposed to win it is going to knock somebody out who's right there on that little sliver of hope.
I feel bad for Nebraska fans, man, because it's become almost to the point where, like, the apathy of football has spread to basketball to now where they win a game like the other night. People, like, joke about, it's like, oh, at least they finally won something. It's just like,
it's true,
golly,
I was like, I didn't believe it.
I swear, it's just like that's every time I see a Nebraska post now, it's like somebody taking it. Like, you can't even win a big basketball game without the football program getting dug at. It's crazy.
They're like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
Hi, Pooh.
Yeah, just getting kicked constantly.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to eat a thistle.
They are abysmal.
All right, number 2, Notre Dame in a league like the ACC. Yeah, Notre Dame on the bubble.
They're 15-5 in the league.
They're on the bubble. They got to do well. I'm telling you. The ACC, they don't have a lot of good wins. The ACC is not very good. The ACC is a terrible league. ACC is a terrible league.
Okay, I'm looking at the wrong. You're telling me that Duke and North Carolina are both in, right?
And probably Wake Forest. But Notre Dame is not guaranteed a spot right now.
Okay.
Look, they're behind Miami. I mean, they're ahead of Miami.
They're 22 and I know, but
Notre Dame needs a good week. I'm telling you, they don't need to win anything. They need a good week.
I'm going to go back to the bracketology and see how many they have in the ACC getting in. I wonder if they would get 4, 5, or 6.
Now, Miami probably also falls in this category as well. But, again, kind of splitting hairs, maybe Miami a little bit more than Notre Dame. Notre Dame was more interesting to me that you look at it and you look at different bracketologies about Notre Dame needs to have a good week. I'm not saying they're not going to make it, but if they have a bad week, they've given people an excuse to put them out.
Okay.
Because the ACC is a bad league.
I mean, I don't know. Here's it's a random bracket site that came up. TR Brackets has them at less than a 40% chance of making the tournament. So stronger odds than a lot, but still not surefire chance of making the tournament.
Yeah, need a good week. And number one, a coach we had on last week, Jim Jankovic, SMU.
Yep.
They've got 3 wins against Houston and Memphis in the league out of 4 games. Memphis has maybe solidified their spot to get in. They should be okay right now, but SMU needs to have a good week, which is weird considering that the best teams in the league, they're 3-1 against.
Houston's 5 in the net rating, which is, again, a lot of that has to do with margin of victory as well behind Gonzaga, Arizona, Baylor, and Kentucky. I saw a note from Jeff Goodman that Houston does not have a single win against a team that has qualified or most likely will be a part of the NCAA tournament. That's hard for me to imagine. Now, that doesn't mean that
last year
they lost. Go ahead.
Last year they had not the same problem, but a similar problem, and that Houston had gotten all the way to the Final Four, and the first tournament teams they really played were the ones when they were in the tournament.
Yeah, they lost to Memphis twice, so we're talking about wins now, and they split with SMU. Golly, I'm looking at this. They did beat Oklahoma State, but they're not going. They lost to Alabama. Or they hammered Oregon, but
Oregon's not.
Virginia. They beat Virginia, so that might be, and they beat them badly by 20.
Well, SMU, I really enjoyed talking with their coach the other day. He was great, and they're very much on the bubble right now. We'll see how they do in the American, but I'd love, just after talking to him, I had no dog in the fight, but now I kind of want to see the Ponies make the tournament. But they do have a little bit of work to do. They do.
Former Kentucky